Yeah, Brett, to double click on this like delta between software and hardware, I think like at the software layer right now, we're seeing this like massive explosion in productivity where, software developers have AI and they have all these like AI tools and et cetera, et cetera. And you can really do like, 10x more than you could as an engineer before. Is there a world where you think, or I'm curious, as building a hardware product, I assume like some of those benefits have translated to the work that you all do, but do you have a sense of like how far we are away from any sort of like acceleration as far as like being able to build physical and like engineer physical products and things like that?
Well, I guess a couple things on this. We like from almost like the lever arm here of like the exponential for learning is we need to be able to put robots out in high volumes, and they need to be continuously learning and getting better. Um, we are seeing that here now. We're seeing the robots get better at things they're doing, like the more data, more training they have, things like this. We also are seeing the robots just improving as they're doing things in the real world as well. Um, those are the things that you really want to put a fleet of physical agents out to the world, and you want them just by interacting with the world, getting smarter about how to accomplish these use cases and tasks and behaviors. So I do think that is happening now, and I do think we'll see that in the coming 1 or 2 years of putting robots out to a fleet of robots out to the world, and um, the use cases the robots are doing are actually getting better daily. And the robots are almost using these like model traces as a way to put back into pre-training for the rest of the fleet. So uh, that's a similar thing. That's basically the ultimate like moat here is you want to get a fleet of robots out to market that are both getting cheaper with scaled manufacturing, and they're getting smarter, and they're collectively sharing that with the rest of the fleet. So you're literally having I mean, I don't know if we've ever seen a technology like this besides like, like in some way, like AI LLMs is a system that's going out to the world, interacting with that world and getting smarter and cheaper over time. And that's what like in the next like couple years, we're going to start seeing that really happen. And then ultimately it's like, then you're ultimately bottlenecked by how like basically production and how to get like enough robots out the door. We have a new facility that we just got spun up on. We call it BAQ here internally. It's our manufacturing facility for Figure 3. We're actively now manufacturing Figure 3 robots. And I spent like last like year basically working on that project of like how to do things at high rate. We're doing manufacturing for Figure 3 here internally. Um, I do feel convinced we're going to make a lot of robots. The jury's out on like, can we make them at scales greater than phones per year? So like there's like, that's a very hard problem to solve. I do think it's possible to solve that, but it's like, that's the next challenge beyond like learning. It's like, we're like learning bottleneck now, and then you'll be like manufacturing bottleneck at some point.
Quick question off that too. Sorry, Logan. Obviously the humanoid robots now have vision, have speech, can kind of move like a human as well. What do you think is needed as far as like that next iteration? Is it really kind of just letting those robots be out there and learn? Are there features kind of internally from a hardware perspective that you think are still, kind of a little far away as far as getting it to the level or prestige you want? Or again, is it kind of just like, hey, we need to get them out there. They need to learn. And once they do that, we're kind of ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, there's some product like kind of development things that we're doing internally that'll be needed to kind of enable these things. So, for instance, Figure 3 was like our first production robot designed to be manufactured at high rate. It's like 90% cheaper than Figure 2. Those are some key things that we need to put like a lot of robots out to the world to kind of like to kind of like alluding to your question of like what is like kind of the next step. So we need to be able to get a lot of like cheap robots out the door. So we've been working on that pretty like as a core focus, like manufacturability and cost, basically. Another couple other areas that we're like trying to design through is like just overall safety will be extremely important, especially as we enter the home. And the third thing is like I think our design roadmap is pretty highly correlated with moving more like a human on the both manipulation and locomotion side over time. And that's kind of, you could kind of like judge those on by like basically like speed and payloads of the robot and range of motion needed. So we're like the trend line is kind of like progressing, like basically do more human like work physically over time in our roadmap. And then the next step from there is like how do we integrate at some decent scale a large amount of humanoid robots into the world with like no human no human assistance to be able to do work every day. Kind of almost like what we've seen Waymo do the last few years. So it's like they've been able to deploy a fleet of cars out and be able to show that it's like actually working end to end and lower the amount of human intervention rates over time. We need to go through that period of time for us, and we're doing that right now. Like that's kind of like the stage we're in as a business, is how do we get a large amount of robots out over the coming years to the world, and then have them be like reasoning about what they're doing. You don't want any like you basically want like extremely low or no human intervention rates, and just doing work all day long. And then from there, the next step is like you just got to like scale it. You got to scale learning, and you got to scale like manufacturing to like really high levels. So yeah, maybe to answer your question, we're kind of in that phase now. Like we're just going to get more things out into the world physically. That'll help with data collection. It will help the robot reliability. It will help us get better at integrating robots into the world, which is also a hard thing